Good morning, traders. This is Wilkey with StartupTrading.com, and it's 8:49 a.m. Eastern Time on Tuesday, June 30th, 2020, the last day of June, obviously, and the last day of the quarter. So, end of month, end of quarter. So, as we look back at yesterday's session, we can see that the Russell was the shining star, right? It was the outperformer. Uh, it made progress well above the previous day's high of the day, which is this red dash line. You can see the Dow push through it after the 4 o'clock close between 4 and 4:15. That's what this last 15-minute bar is, from 4 o'clock to 4:15 Eastern Time. So that's when I take my snapshots each day. So normally. So as we look at the NASDAQ, you can see that once the bell opened, it really struggled to get out of value, and it finally got into the value area high zone, which is the red zone, between at the last few minutes of the session, and then broke out of it after that. You can see all of the indices with a little bit of a spike here at the end of the day. This is what Nick Man, Van Man, and myself refer to as the salmon run close. So sometimes I refer to it as pie in the sky. But basically, we had trades go off. There's two more 15-minute sessions that are bars that print after this between 4:30 and 5. So all of the indexes printed prices above the bell high of the day, which, if you're initiating a new long, is the absolute worst trade location of the day. So that's why we mark those underwater closes and those salmon run trades and closes as well. So looking back at the ES in a little bit more detail. So this is just another view of it. This is a 1600 tick chart just for yesterday's session. So the gray boxes are the value area high and low zones for the day. This pink and green are the value area low zones for the overnight session. The solid line is the point of control for the session, and the dashed is the overnight point of control. So for the overnight action, you can see this dashed line starting here, these pink and green boxes, and you can see when the opening bell rings, that's this vertical bar here, that's the 9:30 bell, and this is the 4 p.m. bell over here. So you can see what happened when the bell rang yesterday morning, right? We were inside of value and just under and right around the point of control for the overnight session. We come up and we tagged the bottom of value area high for the overnight session, was rejected from there swiftly, come back down, rejected from the point of control, went all the way through value, printed some lower prices, right? Couldn't get any follow through, right back up through the value area low for the overnight zone, back to the overnight point of control. Had a little bit of a dance there, come back up, and then right through the overnight high zone for the overnight. And then we got trapped basically between the overnight high zone and the bell to bell over our high zone. So we got stuck between these two high periods. We kind of screwed around with those for quite a while, but you can see once we finally got through and churned through the overnight or the value area high zone for the session, right, we started printing prices. And then this is really turns into once you're above it, this is supposed to turn into a demand zone. So you had demand from both of these after getting above yesterday, and then you had that push up into the end of the day. So looking at what's on tap for today, we have Fed Governor Laurel Bernard talking after a decade of Dodd-Frank. So I don't think this is going to be a big mover at the University of Michigan Finance Center and Law and Politics. So the big news for the day that's going to drive the markets, although I would be shocked if there's anything that is going to come out of this testimony that's going to start a new trend. I think it will create some volatility. Jerome Powell is going to be on the mic at 12:30 starting Eastern time. So you'll have to actually tune in somewhere or watch somewhere else to see when he's no longer on the mic. So until he's off the mic, I don't think traders are going to really want to do too much. He may have some prepared comments that come out anywhere between 2 hours and 30 minutes before his testimony starts. If he's going to have some prepared comments, I have no idea if he will or not. And then we'll get into tomorrow morning. You have ADP non-farm payroll and change. That's usually a snoozer, but because it is a shortened week, just be aware it's at 8:15 tomorrow morning. And then really nothing but the Fed minutes then at 2 o'clock tomorrow. So the big news today, and I think we're going to be in a little bit of a holding pattern until Powell gets on the mic, right? Who's going to take a big swing one way or another before he starts yapping today. So as we look back at this 1 year daily chart that I say that you should look at least for 30 seconds a day, just to see where we're at and where we've been. So basically, starting from, we'll go back to here. So basically, starting on 525 until now, we've been in the same zone for well over a month. We've been sitting here trading prices between 29.35 and basically 3,200. So we had that island reversal come back down here, printed three pretty good down moves out of here, took a lot of this action out or retested it, but really haven't got anything. And I said once we crossed over into these zones as we were doing it back in May, that this can be a sticky zone, especially between 3,000 and basically 3150, right in there where the tops of these are. You can see this distribution. I'll light it up for you, but I'm looking at this part of the node right here. So this part of the node, that fatter part, that's really what we're stuck in right now. I don't see anything that's really going to keep us out of here. Untested nodes are just yesterday's point of control, which is on the charts today, and then these extremes high and low. I don't think we're going to see at least until after non-farm payroll. Remember, after non-farm payroll this week, there is no scheduled news that's of any relevance until Tuesday, July 14th, before the bell when the banks report. So looking at what's going on in the overnight session, only 29 points, right? So as we, climb in and we look at where we've been, so these are still the major support resistance areas for me. So 29.81, 30.61.5, which I think is going to be key for today. And then above there, if we, start rocking above 31.71, basically, I have it marked as 31.70.75. But you can see that, these are, the chart's telling you this is where support and resistance is. So, you have to trust the chart when it makes it this obvious. So in the overnight session, right, we've not got up over that. Our overnight high, as I zoom in here, was at 59.25. So we're, 2 points underneath that important resistance zone. This is our salmon run close area that we had yesterday, and our settlement was above, the bell high of the day as well. So I expect this to be resistance the rest of the session until proven otherwise. And I just think that until Powell talks, there's nothing really going to happen. So as far as trending, I think it's going to be a little bit of choppiness. So you got the Russell inside of value. You got the NASDAQ. It's above value area high at the moment, but it's not getting any traction above this salmon area up here, or the pie in the sky, however you want to refer to it. So for the NASDAQ, the key levels still are 10,023.25 and 10,050, right? Getting above 10,050 is going to be a big deal. And then otherwise, we're just traipsing around, and still 98.35 and 97.44 are the key levels for it. Looking at the ES, as mentioned, you got to get above 30.61.5 to make any progress, and you can see that every one of these indexes are above those poor trade locations from last night. And we have some overnight traders. You can see where this red dotted line is, or this red dotted line. That's where the overnight highs are. So we have some other dumb traders that got long above these marks, and they're only dumb because it's not working out for them. So they would be geniuses if we be printing highs right now. But as we come back down, there's disappointment in not being able to follow through from yesterday's close. So we'll see how that goes. I'm not expecting a whole lot. I'm expecting just some chop, like I said, multiple times before Powell. So looking at the sequences, you can see there's no sequences for this session that started last night, overnight for the ES. There's a little bit of a bearish tone. A little bit of a bearish tone for the Nasdaq. So slight edge to the bears. And then if you look at the Russell, it looked like there was nothing going on. But as you look at it from the high, again, the bears are taking form. So let's go back and double check the ES real quick. And yeah, nothing going there for it. So we're going to skip down to the Russell since we beat up the Nasdaq, and if I can type, we'll get to the Russell. So since we beat up the Nasdaq and the ES, we're going to look at the Russell next. So it's just sitting here in the zone, basically between 1403, let's call it, and 1444. Getting above 1444 is going to be key for it. It's going to be like that area for the Nasdaq above 10,050, and that could lead you up to 1462.60. And then below, there's not a whole lot of support until you get down to 1369.80. Looking at the Dow real quick, you can see it really needs to breach not only this is minor resistance that's on the chart, and it can't do anything with it at 25,566. The more major resistance is up at 25,750. So I think the Dow looks fairly weak. And then below this, I don't have anything serious until 24,775. And you can see where the split is here. I'm going to go ahead and throw this level on the chart now. The chart's telling you it's there. So it's going to be right around 25,100, let's call it. So looking back at all the indexes, putting a wrap on this, again, getting above these highs from yesterday's session, that'll be a bullish sign, but the NASDAQ still needs to get above 10,050, and the ES needs to get above and hold above 3,061.50 to be bullish. Otherwise, it's more of a chop fest. And since we're at the upper end of the range, I'd say with a downward bias. I hope this helps. Remember Jerome Powell on the mic, and who knows when he'll get off or if he'll have prepared comments.